What if the key to your body, to healing your body, physically, emotionally, energetically, has been within you all along? What if it is in your subconscious mind? You have a detailed mapping of what to do with everything that's happened to you. And the key, what if there's a key to unlock all the stuff that has happened to you because your mind or your body has that roadmap to whatever is causing disease in your body? What if? Well, this is a special day. It's been 2 years since Dr. Bradley Nelson has been in the classroom. And today is so special that I want to just like shout and do like a little dance, but we don't do the dancing anymore in the classroom. We've matured. But I am really excited because Dr. Bradley Nelson of The Emotion Code, that's the first book. But today we're going to be talking about the body code. And this is what I'm talking to you about tapping into that roadmap, that health map inside your body that you can learn to tune into. What if today is the day where you get to discover a new tool and Dr. Bradley Nelson is the one person that you were looking forward to meeting one day because you didn't even know this was a possibility. So get your paper, get your pen, because we are going to take lots of notes and learn and grow together.
And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
Hi, my name is Lillian McDermott, and I am a certified life coach, a certified holistic cancer coach, and the host of the Lillian McDermott radio show, Classroom. If this is your first time in the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. As I just said, it's been a couple of years since Dr. Bradley Nelson. He's been traveling the world, sharing this modality, teaching people how they have the key to heal their body. And I'm excited because not only is he here, but we're going to be giving away one of his books called The Emotion Code. I even put a little note, give this one away, because I have my copy that is signed by Dr. Bradley Nelson, and you cannot get it. It's mine. But today we're going to be talking about the emotion code. We've done a few events with Dr. Bradley Nelson, and we've learned to do both the emotion code, the body code, but it's been a while. So let's dip our toe in the body code pool so that you can learn a little bit more about yourself and how you can heal. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Bradley Nelson is here to do just that. Welcome, Dr. Brad, to the classroom.
Well, Lillian, thank you for having me on. It's great to be here. Great to see you again. It's been a while.
I feel like it's a little reunion and we need to get you to fly to Florida and we can just have fun. And so let's talk about a little bit about your background because it's been a
Mhm.
couple years, although
Yeah.
I've aired some of your past classes
Mhm.
whenever I have the time off. Um, Share a little bit about your background and as a
Mhm.
chiropractor, classically trained chiropractor,
Mhm.
um, how did you share a little bit how you came across the emotion code and now the body code?
Right. Well, it goes back to 1980. I was going to college and I needed one more class to round out my schedule. And that one class that actually fit my schedule was a class on computer programming. And I thought, okay, well, this fits. It might be interesting. I really wasn't interested at all, but I thought it might be, who knows? You know how it is in college. Sometimes you take underwater basket weaving because, well, maybe it'll be interesting. So I took this class and suddenly fell completely head over heels in love with computers. And I had no idea that they even existed really much before that. And so that led to me becoming a computer programmer. And so during the early 1980s, I had a business called the Computer Tutor. And I would go into people's businesses and they would have purchased a new IBM PC, for example, and I would go in and I would write the software that would enable them to use their computer for their business. And it was really fun. I got to meet a lot of interesting people, and I was making way more money than any of my friends. And so I was in on that early, the personal computer revolution that happened back then, long before you were born. Okay?
Oh,
But anyway, that was very interesting. And I learned a lot about programming and learned a lot about logic and so on. Well, eventually it was a very powerful answer to prayer that brought me back to my original dream from age 13 was to become a healer and to go into chiropractic. And so I had this powerful answer to prayer that was what I was supposed to do. So I did. And when I was in chiropractic school, I was still doing programming. In fact, I was doing programming for the college I was going to help put myself through college. And so I was very much still into it. And one day, I'm sitting in neurology class, and my instructor is talking about the brain and how the brain is really a computer. And I remember very clearly sitting there and thinking, the brain is a computer. I wonder if we'll ever have the technology to access the information that must be in the computer. Because I thought, as a doctor, if we could tap into that information and actually get information and ask questions and get answers out of the brain itself about what's really wrong with a person, I thought that would be the most amazing thing I could even imagine as a doctor, to be able to work on a patient and go right to the source, because the brain must know all about what's going on in the body. And I remember clearly thinking, well, maybe we'll have that technology in 200 or 300 years. And I kind of put it out of my mind. Little did I know that I was going to spend the rest of my career working on exactly that, because I had had this computer background, and now I'm in the healing arts. And what I gradually came to understand was every single one of my patients had a computer within them. Now, if you think about it, we know about the conscious mind. The conscious mind is where we spend all of our hours. We do interviews like this. We work our jobs, we have our relationships, and so on. When you go to sleep at night, what's left? Well, the conscious mind shuts down, but you don't die, because you have a subconscious mind that is running everything, and it's creating millions of new cells every minute, and it's running trillions of chemical reactions every minute. It's keeping your heart beating. It's keeping the air moving in and out of your lungs, and so on. And that's going on, every minute of every day for your entire existence until you die. And that subconscious mind is vastly powerful. We now believe that every face you've ever seen in a crowd, everything you've ever eaten or tasted or touched or smelled, the whole history of your health or disease, it's all logged in this subconscious mind, which is, it's kind of like an archiving holographic computer system that is actually, I believe, so far beyond our ability to understand that we really have not even begun to explore it yet. And the reason for that is because it's of divine origin, because we are divine beings. And so the conscious mind is kind of it's like a lentil on the top of an iceberg, and that iceberg is the subconscious mind. I mean, the subconscious is vastly intelligent. So what I learned is that I could actually ask questions, and I could ask questions either silently or out loud, and the subconscious mind of a patient could give me answers. And so, and I'm not the one that discovered this really, but I'm probably the one that's taken it further than anybody else in some ways, because because of the body code and the belief code and the emotion code. But anyway, for example, if I were there with you, Lily, and if you were to hold your arm out parallel to the floor, and if I were to have you make a true statement, such as, my name is Lily, if I were to press down on your arm, you'd be strong.
Mhm.
And any of your viewers can try this at home. Grab your spouse, grab one of your kids or your grandpa or whatever, have them hold out their arm and have them say something that is true or congruent. Like, my name is my name. For me, I'd say, my name is Brad. At that point, if you press down on that person's arm, they'll probably be able to resist you because that's a true congruent statement that they've just made. And the computer system knows that. On the other hand, if I were there with you, and if you were to say, my name is Bob, for example, if I were to press down on your outstretched arm, you wouldn't be able to resist me. Now, this idea that the body can respond this way, it goes back many years, back to the 1960s, and in the US at least. But I think that this kind of knowledge has been had for thousands of years, and it's been lost and then had again and so on. I believe the ancient Chinese knew about this kind of thing, and it's how they got a lot of their information, I think. Well, anyway, what I learned when I was in practice, when I began to ask questions and get answers from my patients about what was really going on with them, I found that I could absolutely get yeses and nos, and I could talk to the brain itself, to the internal computer, to the subconscious mind, and I could get answers about what was really wrong with them. And it was often surprising. One of the things that I found was that the most common reason, the most common underlying cause of all of my patients' symptoms, whether they were mental or emotional or physical, was actually what I came to call emotional baggage, emotional energies that become trapped in the body during times when you're feeling an intense emotion. And we all have emotional baggage, but that is the single biggest underlying cause of physical pain, of depression, anxiety, phobias, panic attacks, PTSD, eating disorder, self-sabotage of all kinds, is actually due to emotional baggage. So I published the Emotion Code book, and the Emotion Code book actually includes all the instructions. Yeah, there it is right there. It's a complete how-to book. It's the manual for the Emotion Code, and it can teach anybody how to do it and how to find their emotional baggage and how to get rid of it. Well, about a year after the Emotion Code book came out, I woke up one morning and my mind was full of instruction. And the instruction was, you need to take everything that you've learned about natural healing and put it into a self-study course that anyone can learn and make it available to everyone everywhere. And this did not come out of my own mind. This was from up above. And I remember thinking, are you sure about this? This seems like it could take some work. And I don't know if I want to work that hard. And so anyway, so I sat on that inspiration for about 3 months and then started working and worked for a year and came out with the first version of what we now call the body code. And so if you can imagine, maybe I could share my screen. Yeah, there's the book.
Yeah, you can share your screen. But before you do that,
Yeah.
I want to share that we are giving away one book of the Emotion Code. So if you would like a copy or a chance to win a copy, you can text me or at 407-373-5959, or you can email me at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com. Get your name in the winner's basket a week from today. And so today is July 23rd. A week from today, we are going to do a drawing. I'll pick your name out of the winner's basket and I'll let you know if you win. So get started on that. And for those of you who are listening on podcast or other forms, just make sure that you submit your name as well. So text me. Okay, so go ahead. So here's the Emotion Code.
Okay, awesome. Well, great. So I'll share my screen, and what we're looking at here is a copy of the body code. It's actually running on my laptop. And so what you see here are six pictures and 6 labels. Okay. So these represent the 6 different categories of imbalances that we suffer from as human beings. You see, the oldest idea in the history of healing is that health is maintained or regained by either regaining or by maintaining the state of balance in the body. And there are various imbalances then that throw off that balance and cause us to have all kinds of physical, mental, and emotional symptoms. So when I was in practice, I always had a computer there with me in my office. And as I would work on patients, day after day, year after year, when I would find some kind of imbalance that I didn't already know about, I would put it into my computer, into this knowledge base that I was building. And what I came to understand is that there are really 6 different categories of imbalances that cause our physical and mental and emotional symptoms. And so looking at this chart here of the 6 imbalances, we'll start at the top right. And that one is, that category is what we call pathogens. Now, we all know about pathogens, viruses, bacteria, fungal infections, mold, parasites that can get into the body. If you've got a pathogen living in your body, you're not going to feel as good as you could. You're not going to be as healthy as you could be. And so you need to do something to get rid of that pathogen, right? And that makes sense. The next category down on the right side is misalignment. Now, of course, I was trained as a chiropractor, classic training. And what I found was that amazing things happened. I had quite a number of patients who I was able to help get over asthma, for example, completely resolve that. I was able to help people with all kinds of digestive problems and infertility and all kinds of things, asthma, you name it. And just by simply realigning the spine. As time went on, what I found was that really any tissue can become misaligned, and organs can misalign and other tissues. And so we have all the tissues in the body that are represented under this one category. And then on the right side, if we go down one more, we have another category called nutrition and lifestyle. So if you're deficient in a certain vitamin or mineral, that will show up there. If you need a certain herb or essential oil, that will show up there. Because sometimes we need something to be totally healthy. And the subconscious mind knows what you need. And I'll tell you a story about that one in a minute here. If we go to the toxin area, we know, in fact, I'll go ahead and click on this one. You can see there's different kinds of toxins. There are drug toxins, environmental toxins, biological toxins, heavy metals, dental toxins, and so on. And in the body code, we can, the subconscious mind will take you to wherever you need to go, and you can drill down to a specific area, and you'll get that information. We have all the teeth in here, and it looks complicated, and it is, but it's actually really, really simple to use. And so that's the toxin category. If you've got toxins living in your body, you're not going to be as healthy as you could be until and unless you get rid of those toxins. The next category is called circuits or systems. And this has to do with the balance of the organs and the glands and the chakras and meridians in the body, the systems. It also has to do with disconnections that can happen between the physical and spirit, the physical body and the spirit. For example, your spirit might be partly out of your body. If your spirit leaves your body completely, of course, you're dead. But you can be mostly dead and still be alive. And the only place you'll ever see that kind of thing that I know of is in the body code. We also know that you can actually have what we call a broken heart or a spirit break. That can actually happen. It's a real thing. And then the last category here at the top left is what we call energies. And you can have emotional energies like trapped emotions, and they can occur at any time. They can occur during the time you're in the womb. We call those prenatal trapped emotions. You can even get them before you're conceived, and you can bring them to conception with you. That's an interesting thing. We don't see those very often, but once in a while, you can inherit emotional baggage. And it's a very interesting thing. In fact, it was not too many years ago, they were doing a study in Atlanta, studying mice. And what they were doing is they were studying the inheritance of trauma. And so what they would do is they had mice that they had in a special cage with a floor that they could put in a little electrical current through that was kind of uncomfortable, I guess, for the mice. When they would do that, they would blow into the cage the scent of cherry blossom. And so pretty soon the mice connected this cherry blossom smell with this uncomfortable feeling in the cage. And so then those mice had offspring. Now, those offspring, the baby mice, had never smelled cherry blossom and had never received any kind of a shock at all. And yet they were sensitized. If they smelled cherry blossom, they'd have a fear reaction. They took sperm from those mice and took that sperm across campus and impregnated female mice that had never been shocked in any way and had never smelled cherry blossom scent, and their offspring were sensitized. So it was kind of a mind-blowing thing back then for these doctors trying to figure out how in the world is that possible. And we know what it is. It's inherited emotional baggage. So let's say that you had maybe your third or fourth grade grandmother or something was jilted at the altar. Maybe you're single now because you're carrying her grief and betrayal, right? And it's manifesting that way in your life. Maybe you had a grandfather somewhere who was thrown into the poorhouse, and maybe you have money issues now because of that. This is the kind of thing that we see.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really easy to find and get rid of these. And so anyway, that's the energies area. So there are other kinds of energies. There are post-traumatic energies and so on. So anyway, with the body code, we can simply ask questions. And in fact, this is designed for anybody really to do this. The youngest person that we know of that has used the body code successfully is actually, she's a little older now. She's probably 8, but she was 5 years old at the time and lived in Mexico City. And her mother told us that she would use the iPad. Her daughter, 5-year-old daughter, would use the iPad with the body code on it and would just go from one picture to another. And then she'd bring it to her mom and she'd say, "Mommy, Daddy has this." And her mom said that she was pretty much always right. So
Goodness gracious. Do you remember the little girl that we did, and her mother brought her, she sat down with her mother. The little girl had some condition. I couldn't remember what it was, and it was
I
so
do.
sweet.
Yeah.
She was like
I don't
3
remember
or
exactly
2.
what was going on with her,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's really amazing. And the beautiful thing about this is for me, when I was in practice, having put this system together, I found that it was just life-changing for my patients because I found that I wasn't afraid to work with any kind of condition. It didn't bother me because I knew that the answers were within that person. And I'll tell you a couple of stories that are
Yeah.
interesting.
Why don't we take the screen down, and that way you can share your
Yeah,
stories. That way we can see you
absolutely.
bigger.
There
Yeah.
we go.
But
There we
that's
go
great.
there.
It's great to see it because everybody can get an app to be able to do this. Do you have to be certified to do the body code? Have the
No,
body
you
code
don't.
app?
Not at this time. You can
Okay.
just you can get the app on Google Play or the App Store, and yeah, you can use it. And the more you use it, the more you learn because all the information is in there.
Yeah, and I
So
love that at the end it gives you suggestions on what to do. So
it
once you
tells you
get to the
exactly what to
end,
do.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So go ahead, keep going.
yeah, it's pretty fun. So yeah, it's there's a lot of work that's gone into this, and many years, decades really of working with patients day in day out. Well, so I've seen some interesting things. One of my favorite stories is a young woman came to see me. She was, I think, about 28 years old, and she had just gotten out of the hospital. She'd been hospitalized for 5 days with this really severe pain in her abdomen. And they had run every test known on her. All the tests were negative. And they had poked and prodded and everything else. And they finally said, "You know what? All the tests are negative. We can't help you. So you can't stay here." And so she leaves the hospital. So she comes to my office, and she's about a 9 on a 0 to 10 scale of pain. And so using the body code, I tested her. I found some trapped emotions, found a couple of other things, corrected those. And one of the things that I found was I was taken to the nutrition and lifestyle area in the body code to a chart that looked kind of like this. This is the emotion code chart, and it's got 2 columns and 6 rows. Well, there's another chart like this in the body code under nutrients, and it has all the different nutrients that a person needs on there, and you can find them by asking what column and what row this thing is in. So it took me to this nutrient chart, and so testing on the chart, I found that she needed chromium. And at the time, we were out of chromium. And I said, I think you need chromium. I said, I just think it's an incidental finding. Normally we carry it, but we're out of it right now. So I think at some point you should get some chromium. I thought, chromium is great for blood sugar. And, I just didn't think much of it at all. So I think I might have cleared one more thing after that. And then, I couldn't find anything else. Her subconscious mind had nothing else for me to fix. And so she's still in pain, right? Wasn't any change in her pain level at all. So I said, okay, well, there's nothing else to do. So come back tomorrow, first thing, and we'll check you. So the next day she comes in first thing. She's the first patient that day. And now she's like bumping right up against the 10 level, right, of pain. Now remember, this woman's been in the hospital for 5 days for this pain. And they couldn't figure out what it was. And apparently, so far, I wasn't able to figure out what was causing it either. I didn't know what else to do. I mean, she's just in so much pain. I thought, well, it's got to be something that they missed in the hospital. I don't know how they could have missed it, but I didn't know what else to do. And there she is right there in front of me. So I broke out the body code and started asking her subconscious mind questions. Is there something I can do to help you? What's going on? And I was taken by her subconscious. And the way that this works is, I'm muscle testing her, and I would ask, okay, how can we help you? Is it something on the left side of this chart? No. Right side? Yes. Is it a pathogen? No. A misalignment? No. Something in nutrition or lifestyle? Yes. Strong arm, right? For yes. And so I'm taken into nutrition and lifestyle, into nutrition, into the table of nutrients again. And when I arrived at that, I thought, oh, that's interesting. And so I'm taken to column A, row 2, right back to chromium. Now, at that point, I remembered, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that showed up yesterday. And I said to her, look, I have no idea why, but I think your body really needs chromium. I said, I don't know why, but what I want you to do is I want you to leave my office right now, go down the street to the health food store, find the chromium tablets, don't even wait, ask for water, and go ahead and take some of them right there and then come back. Well, about 15 or 20 minutes later, this young, very athletic woman is literally jumping up and down in my waiting room. And she's saying, I'm fixed. And she told me that the moment that she took the chromium,
Wow.
the pain just instantly vanished completely. And she said, how did that work? And I said, well, I have no idea. But, and I still have no idea. Nobody's ever been able to explain how that could work or what the mechanism might have been. But apparently she was really deficient in chromium. And I said, the beautiful thing about this is we now are living in an age where your internal computer, your subconscious mind that knows exactly what you need in every way, finally is being given a voice. And I said, it was able to communicate to me that you needed chromium. And so, welcome to the 21st century. Now, think about this. Imagine in your own life, what might be going on. I mean, is there in your own body, do you have maybe some kind of a deficiency of something that's going on? Maybe it's been going on for a while. Maybe it's the reason why maybe you don't feel all that great. Do you have one of these imbalances that we list in the body code? Do you have some kind of a pathogen? Most of the time when we have some kind of a pathogen living in the body, it's a low grade thing, right? Most of the time, they're not fulminating, exploding infections. Most of the time, we get sick and we don't really get all the way better. I mean, think about this. Have you ever gotten sick and you recover, but you kind of have this feeling that, you know, you never really recovered completely? It's like, I don't think I feel as good as I did before I got the flu 5 years ago. I had it for 2 or 3 weeks and I got better, but it's like, I don't feel like I used to feel. And that can be because that pathogen is maybe still living in your body. And the subconscious mind knows that. You may have misalignments going on, very likely. Let me tell you a story. I had a patient that came into me one day. She was in a car accident and she had pain from the left side of the base of her skull all the way down to the right or to the left shoulder. And it was pretty severe. It was like a 9 on a 0 to 10 scale. And I worked on her for 3 weeks doing the regular chiropractic thing. And I'd seen lots of car accident cases before, and I had high expectations of fixing her. But after 3 weeks, her pain was still at a 9. And I didn't know what to do. I sent her to an MRI center and we did a magnetic resonance scan of her neck, and it came back looking absolutely textbook perfect. So I was kind of at a loss. Now, this was back in the days when I was in practice, just beginning to learn how to ask questions of the subconscious mind. And so I started asking, all right, is there some other reason for this pain? Yes. Okay. Is it a bone that's out of alignment that I'm missing? No. Is it something else that's out of alignment? Yes. What else could be out of alignment besides a bone? An organ? Yes. Oh, okay. Is it the left lung? No. Right lung? No. Heart? Yes. And so I was able to just very simply make a correction. When she had the accident, apparently, her heart became slightly misaligned. And I was able to just give her a nice thump on her sternum in the right direction. Instantly, the pain was gone. She
That's
became my
amazing.
office manager, actually.
That's amazing. And those are the things, when you think when you think about our body holding the key, that our body has the roadmap to our health.
It
And
does.
all we need to do is tap into it. And what I was talking to a friend of mine, and uh, actually someone I'm coaching who's become a friend, we get to know people, and one of the questions or one of the things that I noticed is that they did not want to deal with the emotional aspect of releasing some of the trauma. And of
Sure.
course, with the emotion code, so I sent them videos of you, and maybe this is something, maybe we can get someone that can help you with this. What I love about what you're doing, it gives somebody an option. Like with me, I can face whatever it is and deal with it. Some
Mhm.
people don't want the emotion. They don't want to cry. They don't want to relive it. They don't want to do any of that stuff. And how amazing that this is another tool that they could use, or everybody can use. Because even people like me, I don't want the pain. I don't want to
Mhm.
deal with all that. And so I loved how I remember the first time that you came on in the classroom and you used me as an example. And you went back to all this ancestral trauma, and it was
Yeah.
amazing how one feels afterwards because now you have a release. You have a release without having to go through all the emotion. And that was the part that I thought, yeah, that's different. Because usually
Hmm.
we go no pain, no gain. But
Right.
with this, there is no pain with a lot of gain. So
Right.
I know that
True.
I know with that you train others to do this. You've gone all over the world since you've been in the classroom, training and before the classroom, training people. You have coaches, but with the body code, anybody could do this, provided that
Right.
they get the book, they understand what is going on in their body,
Uh-huh.
and they can get the app and they can
Yeah.
start. So basically, what you're encouraging people, not that you're giving them advice to not go to their doctor, but to
Mhm.
become their own MD, their own medical detective, to
Yeah.
just kind of like work with themselves. So with that in
Yeah.
mind, um, one could say the body code and the emotion code, the emotion code is one segment of the body code, right? So
Yes.
there's one section. So the emotion does play a key role on the body. So with that
Yeah.
in mind, what are some of the symptoms that people can tap into and saying, this is an emotional trauma. This is an ancestral trauma. Do you
Well,
discover it before or do you discover it while you're doing this? The muscle testing.
basically, you discover it while you're doing it because what I have found is that anything can cause anything, and so in other words, you just absolutely never know. And what we do find is that there is always emotional baggage present with every disease process that we have seen now in about 35 years. And this is literally all over the world. We've got almost 15,000 practitioners that we've trained now in 108 countries. And it's consistent. We're all finding the same thing. If someone has a disease process going on, well, we let them go ahead and work with their medical team and so on, and that's fine. But as practitioners that are trained in this work, what we do is we try to come in from the other side and find anything that might be in the body's way of being able to heal itself. And so it's kind of a fine line. I mean, the body code, the emotion code, the belief code, we don't promote them as cures for anything. But what we find is that the body has this enormously powerful need and desire and capability to be totally healthy. But what happens is things get in the way, like the six things we talked about: pathogens and toxins and trapped emotions and all these various different things. And so the the body code is revolutionary because for the first time in recorded history now, we're giving the subconscious mind of the human being a voice so that it can actually tell you what's wrong. I mean, think about it. If you go to the medical doctor, a lot of the time, they throw things at you to see what sticks, right? Well, you got migraine headaches. Well, let's try this drug, and if you don't like that, we'll try this drug, and so on, and that's fine. And sometimes those drugs can definitely be beneficial, right? Although all drugs are essentially eventually toxic to the liver and kidneys. What we have found is that sometimes drugs are needed. Sometimes people need some kind of a surgery, but most of the time, most people don't need surgery and they don't need some kind of a pharmaceutical drug. What they need is to find out what the imbalances are that are going on within them, and they need to have those imbalances corrected. Now, the beautiful thing about this work is that, like you were saying, you can totally do this yourself. I mean, if you need to see a medical doctor, by all means, go ahead and see one. I mean, there's always going to be a need, I think, for the medical profession. And the medical profession is really great at acute problems, right? I mean, if you're racing the train and you lose, and now your leg is over there, well, if they get you to the doctor fast enough, they can probably reattach your leg, which is unbelievable. I mean, it's miraculous. They can do miraculous things. But most of the time, that's not the level of care that most people need. And so part of the reason why people are so sick in this country is because we've come to believe through really a lot of propaganda and advertising and marketing that drugs and surgery are the very best ways to take care of our health. And they're really not. They're great sometimes. Most of the time, most people don't need that. And so that's a wonderful thing about this is that we're literally giving back to people the birthright that we all had given up a long, long time ago, time out of mind ago, and that is to heal ourselves. We all have that ability and that birthright, and that's what I love the most about this work is that it. I don't think it can be any simpler than it actually is. And like I said, the youngest child, 5 years old, if a 5-year-old can do this, you can too. I mean, uh, imagine being able to help yourself. Imagine, you got back pain and you work on yourself and you get rid of it. I mean, there are thousands, tens of thousands of people have done that already. Imagine helping your sister who's infertile. And now suddenly, because of the work that you've done using the body code, now
Yeah.
suddenly she's pregnant and going to have a baby, and they better name it after you, damn it.
Not Vivian.
Right, exactly.
Like my great granddaughter, Vivian. You mean Lillian? No, Vivian.
Right.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So before we get, because I there's so many things that I want to address there. But before we go there, I just want to spend some time talking about the my website and the ways that you can continue to grow with us. And if you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, this is where we take full ownership of our life. And what I love about the emotion code, the body code, it's not about blaming or shaming. It's about, hey, this is what's happening. It's logic and without all the emotional drama. And that's what it's so difficult because I deal with a lot of emotional drama when I coach people. But to see somebody so peacefully kind of releasing these things, so I want to encourage you to learn more and watch some of the other classes with Dr. Bradley Nelson in the classroom and YouTube and BitChute and podcasts and all of that. But go to whenyouneedafriend.com. While you're there, please subscribe to the website, like and follow me on all social media. Go check out my sponsors, support my sponsors the way that they're supporting the classroom. Make sure that you check out my Shop Now bag. From these are Lilly approved products from head to from makeup to pain management and more. And so I want to encourage you to check that out. And you can also set your calendar. November 1st, we have the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit, and this is going to be specifically for cancer and autoimmune disease. And so this is where you get to be your own MD, your own medical detective, and learn more about how you can give to your body what it needs. And so I want to encourage you to mark your calendar. Pretty soon the website will be up. The landing page will be up so that you can look into all the different speakers that we're having on that day. And then last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom, whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month or a one-time donation of whatever you can give, whether it's your time, your talent, your treasure. Everything helps grow the classroom. Sharing this video with your friends, letting people know that today's class is worth their time. So go check it out and share it with people. Put your little emojis on there, thumbs up, make some comments. If you have any questions, send them to me, email them to me, and I'll forward them to Dr. Bradley Nelson, and maybe we can answer it next time he comes into the classroom. Because I hope 2 years don't go by before we have him back again. So just whatever you can do, we appreciate it. And with Dr. Bradley Nelson, if you are a subscriber, you already have his link, which is discoverhealing.com. That's where you can go and you can learn more about these tools. We're giving away the emotion code, which the emotion code is part of the body code. So I want you to know that is a part of it. So this is where you become an expert in your emotionals, and this is where you look at the body. So thank you, Dr. Brad, because you could be anywhere in the world right now, literally anywhere around the world, but you're here today sharing your wisdom with us in the classroom. So one of the questions I wanted to ask while you were speaking
Mhm.
was most people, when I say this, hear something else. This is what they hear. It's all in your head.
Mhm.
That's not what I'm saying. The statement I'm making is that, or the question I'm asking you, what percentage, because you said earlier, it's a huge percentage that most disease it starts with an emotional component to it.
Mhm.
What in your research is the percentage of emotional trauma that contributes to dis-ease?
Well, let me say this that so far, over the last 35 years, um, 100% of the diseases that we have seen have had emotional trauma as a component. Now, when I say component, what I mean is that if you've been diagnosed with some kind of a disease, uh, you may, for example, have there could be pathogens related to that. There could be nutritional deficiencies related. You might have some misalignments related. You might have maybe some sort of a disconnection between the spirit and the physical body. You might have toxins. And but one thing that we find always consistently is emotional baggage. For example, every single case of cancer that we have seen in all these years, and we don't claim that the body code or emotion code or belief code are cures for cancer in any way. However, what we find is if you've got cancer, I can pretty much guarantee you there is an emotional component to that cancer. And you may do everything else, to get rid of that cancer. But if you don't address the emotional component, then you may be really missing something. Maybe it dates back to when you were abused as a child, or maybe there's physical trauma energy from an accident that you had years ago. What we are now finding is that the symptoms that we experience are really the result of these imbalances in the body. And emotional baggage is by far and away the most common underlying cause. In fact, if you look at physical pain alone, what we find is that about 90% of all the physical pain that people experience is actually due in whole or in part to emotional baggage, to trapped emotions. It's an astonishing thing, and when you start looking at this, it's just kind of mind blowing. I mean, for example, I'll tell you a story. I was just recently,
I love your stories.
yeah, I was just this last weekend. I was in Austin, Texas, at the International Association of Biological Dentists, and there was a woman sitting right on the front row who had this terrible accident. She was actually run over
Oh boy.
and dragged about 35 feet. And so she's had all of this pain going on in her body for a long time. But what I have found is that when we ask the subconscious mind what the reasons are for pain, sometimes it's surprising. And so what I found with her, and her low back was it always hurts. And at that point, this was, I guess, Friday, I worked on her. It was about a 5 on a 0 to 10 scale. And what we found is that she had an inherited trapped emotion of some emotion. I can't remember which one it was on the chart. I think it might have been fear or something. It went back 20, I believe it was 26 generations.
Mm.
Unbelievable. But when I was done and released that, I had her walk around and the pain was completely gone that she's had nonstop, for years now. So you never know until you see this work done. You just can't quite wrap your head around it or believe it, but it's absolutely real. And like we were talking about before, the beautiful thing is you can learn how to do this yourself. It's not hard at all. And yeah, it's fun.
And that is so hard to convey. I spoke to someone just yesterday, and they have chronic illness. And so found out that they had gone through a divorce, and I had asked about forgiveness. And they said, I am not ready to forgive. I am just not ready to forgive. And I said, why? Well, because I don't feel he deserves it. And I said, well, it's not about him. It's about
Right.
you. It's
Yeah.
about setting you free.
Exactly.
And then I gave her the analogy about drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, right?
Yeah, I love
And
that
so
one.
they, I know, because it is what it is. It is what it
Yeah.
is. And even though it was the first time she had ever heard that, she still wasn't ready to forgive. How do you feel that people that are most favorable for the body code, emotion code, are the people that refuse to deal with their emotions? Can they, when you're working with them through the emotion code, the body code, are they, because you're dealing with a subconscious mind, is the subconscious mind more willing to let go and release than the human mind, the conscious mind?
Well, yeah, I think that it often is. The subconscious mind just has every motivation, I believe, to help us to be healthy and so on. But we're living in this fallen world, essentially. You can think of it that way, where the body needs help. And so yeah, I mean, sometimes people are, sometimes some people are more open than other people. And what we're dealing with really here is quantum physics. And so, what we recommend for our practitioners is that they work with people that are open and that are willing to be helped. But one of the beautiful things about this, and you were alluding to this earlier, and that is that you don't have to go back into the emotional experience and re-experience it again and re-traumatize yourself. No, this is just lickety split fast, easy done, and you're just finding and removing that energy in the shortest possible time span. And when people learn how to do the emotion code, for example, they can usually find and release a trapped emotional energy on themselves, well, in less than a minute or two. And as far as forgiveness goes, one of the most beautiful side effects, Lily, of the emotion code is that when we work with somebody who has been traumatized, who's been wronged, who's been hurt, and can't find a way to forgive, when we release the emotional baggage around that event or about that person, oftentimes what they're able to do finally is they're finally able to forgive because that electrical charge in a sense is no longer there, and so they're finally able to move on. And I've always said, that until you find a way to forgive everybody in your life, and sometimes that includes you, and sometimes that's
Mhm,
especially you, right?
mhm,
Until you find a way to forgive everybody, you're not really ever going to have true peace in your life.
mhm.
So thank you for bringing up that topic. That's a very powerful side effect, really,
Yeah,
of this
yeah,
work.
yeah. They talk about, spontaneous remissions and they just chalk it up as a miracle. Yes, it is a miracle, but what caused that to happen? And sometimes releasing these traumas and this is what is so hard for me to convey to someone, offer them options and say, hey, if you go this route, you don't have to go through any of the emotional trauma or pain that you think it's gonna be too difficult to bring it up. If you want to go
Yeah.
through this one because this is more matches your personality, you can do both. But what I cannot convey, what I can't express enough, and I hope that whoever is listening to this today or watching it later on will say, this is crucial. This portion right here, the emotional, the emotion code, which
Yeah.
is part of the body code. I'm not giving this book away, but I'm giving this book away. But the emotion code is releasing these emotions, whether they're yours or your ancestors, which that blew me away the first time I met you. That blew
Hmm.
me away.
Yeah, it's
That
fun.
what I'm carrying their unresolved issues,
Right.
no fault of my own. It's
Hmm.
just I'm carried it through my DNA or whatever.
Yeah.
That this is the key to helping us live healthy lives.
Yeah.
And so for someone to say I'm not ready means that they don't want to get better. They don't want to get well. Because it says that in the Bible when Jesus went up to the cripple that had been by the side of the pool waiting for healing for 38
Hmm.
years, 38
Yeah.
years. But Jesus still asked the question, do you want to be healed? And he had to say, yes, I want to be healed. And he could have picked him up and he could have put him in the pool where healed them or whatever. But he said, then pick up your mat and walk. There are choices that we have to make too to be well. What would you like? What could you add to that? We only have about a minute left, but what could you add to that for someone who is
Oh,
still in resistance to put them over that willingness to resolve these
well,
issues?
interestingly enough, my wife and I just watched that episode of The Chosen last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about the
I
healing at
love
the
that
pool.
story. I use it all the time. Yeah.
But well, we're the past doesn't equal the future, and we're finally waking up. Really, the world is in this transformational state. We're waking up to realize what we're capable of and who we are. And the bottom line, and I know you agree with me, is that we are divine beings. We're divine beings, and so within us we have divinity. And that divinity within us, that incredibly powerful subconscious mind is the spirit within us. It's been alive forever, I believe. It'll continue to live forever. And it knows exactly what we need. And so, you can ignore this information if you want to, but if you want to take advantage of it and live a longer, healthier life, hey, it's available. So there you go.
And that's the thing. We all have this gift. It's given to us, like you said, our birthright.
Yeah.
It's given to us. I just want to challenge all of you to look deeper into the emotion code, and please text me at 407-373-5959 or email me at lily@whenyounneedafriend.com for the United States only. If you would like the book and you live somewhere outside of the United States, you need to pay for the shipping charges. But make sure that you send me a text so that you get your name in the winner's basket. A week from today, we're going to go ahead and pick the name. This is something that I want to challenge everybody, whether it's the body code, which you can do yourself by learning how to do it, or the emotion code and go to a practitioner. I want to challenge all of you to be willing to learn more about this. So whether it's you go back and you go to discoverhealing.com or watch some of Dr. Bradley Nelson's other videos, or if you want to become yourself what do you
Practitioner.
practitioner, I'm sorry, the name just left me, a practitioner, then you're in choice. But just say yes to the gift. Just say yes to the gift. And I am just so grateful to you, Dr. Bradley Nelson, for coming into the classroom today. I've missed our conversations and seeing you and Jean, and so I'm just so glad. It feels good that you brought this reminder back to us, how simple it is. Let our
Thank you,
yes,
Lily.
let our yes be greater than our fear, and be curious about this so that you too can be healed. Because Jesus is asking us that question all the time. What do you want? Do you want to be healed? Yes. I say yes. What do you say, Dr. Brad?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll let that be the last word. And I challenge all of you to say yes to that request. Would you like to be healed? And do whatever you can to live the life of your dreams. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. This is Lily McDermott and Dr. Bradley Nelson wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day
Ever.
Good job. Good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.